That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time again. It's time for a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth video. We got a brand new trailer just under 2 weeks ago at the Game Awards. I'm going to be checking out the extended version here, which I've already seen. You can check the VOD specifically for the Game Awards to check out my first reactions to everything. But I wanted to make a video talking about those in a bit more detail. Sorry, it's a bit late. I had to focus on other content, and right after the Game Awards, I was entirely burnt out for a bit, so I needed some time to myself a little bit. And now I'm mostly recharged here, not going to be able to get a stream in today, so I thought a video would do just fine. And let's talk about something I'm passionate about. Really cool RPGs and Square-related stuff. It's always in my wheelhouse, so we're going to watch through this trailer once with sound on, and I'm going to pause throughout to talk about little theories and my general thoughts on stuff. Let's get into it here. So I would say this is probably the best trailer they have put out for the game so far. Really good mix focusing on story, a little bit of gameplay bits, getting to see some different areas. Cool stuff here. We finally get a front view of Vincent. I would say it's a bit of a miss for them to have teased Vincent in the previous trailer and not fully shown him. I feel like it would have gotten a better pop if they just pulled the band-aid. Because they already show Sid later in this trailer. I feel like that would have made more sense, to just get on with it. But hey, I'm complaining about marketing in a way or nitpicking it. But anyway, let's keep going a little bit.
Their luck runs out, but mine doesn't. I'm the only one who gets a pass.
So one, love Biggs. Everything they did for the extended Avalanche characters that die like 2 hours into FF7. Really big fan of what they did there. I also, in general, I think Biggs design-wise, like really, really nails it. He's having a conversation here with Zack, and if you'll remember, if you played Remake or watched Remake or whatever, you see that Zack is seemingly in a different universe because they quickly flash the dog mascot thing that you see all over Remake in like various different spots, but the dog's different, implying it's a different universe also because he has his own cloud and things are going different in the timeline and everything. But they also showed that Biggs survives. He's like he's in like a bed waking up, like bandaged or whatever. So I'm guessing that Biggs is this Biggs, and that's what's going on there, which interesting. Are there going to be like gameplay slices throughout the game? I think it'd be really cool where every couple of chapters they switch perspectives over to what's going on with Zack, and then maybe he's building his own party. Maybe his party has like Biggs in it, and maybe additional characters. We know he interacts with I think her name's Kyrie. I might be entirely wrong. The scene looking girl. Who, like, is a bit of a grifter in the previous game. She's from, like, a light novel or something that they did. And he, like, drops Cloud off with her, so he interacts with her, interacts with Aerith's mom. I believe there's a scene with Zack and Aerith somewhere in this trailer. So I'm wondering all that they're going to be doing there. I read in a recent thing that came out, because Game Informer's doing coverage, that they're basically saying Zack is similar to the Whispers in that he's an important new element to the Remake project, to Shin Final Fantasy VII that they've been doing here. And I'm interested in how they're going to dole it out. I'm trying to keep my expectations in check. I don't want to go crazy and going, there's a Zack disc. or that there's going to be super substantial Zack gameplay and sections here, but I have some high hopes for some stuff. I'm interested in how they're going to do it. I don't want to let my expectations explode with these types of things, because I feel like that's very, very dangerous and leads to people going, well, the thing I made up in my head is better, so I'm going to judge the game based on that, which I feel like happens a lot with a lot of these long-awaited games. But let's move on.
Sometimes
Get to see a bunch of areas here. They show off a lot of the gold saucer and the recreations of the areas here. Really nice. We get to see some of the synergy attacks again.
Now it's my turn.
I already know the combat's gonna whip. We got Solemn Gus here. He's supposed to be the guy that gets you into the gold saucer. Kind of sounds like it might be Ray Shaves voicing him. That's just a guess, though. We finally get to see Sid. He's a bit altered. I'm guessing he's not going to be smoking at all in this game, which though I'd love it. Like, he doesn't have the original design of his portrait where he has like a box of cigarettes like on his goggles. He puts them against. He puts his goggles over him so they're like right there on the side. Wonder if he's going to end up doing that or not. I'm interested in how they're going to handle some of his language and stuff, and the way he treats the way he treats what's her name. So I'm very interested in what's going to be going on there. Forgive me if I'm a bit scattershot today. Also, this is one of those end of the day recordings where I've been up for more than half the day, so I'm pretty much running on coffee and enthusiasm. So if I get stuff wrong, forgive me. Anyway, we get to see some summons here. This Phoenix looks really nice, really fantastic. We got new Bahamut's, which are just the old Bahamut you would get around this point of the game, I believe. But like, with a different name, I believe. We finally get a look of something that I've been interested in, and probably one of the sections I'm looking forward to, which is interactions with Dyne. Because he's kind of like people like to say the Virgil for Barrett, but he's like someone very important to Barrett, and I'm really interested in how that section will go. I'm really hoping for like a really cool solo fight with him. I'm very interested in how they try to make Barrett's gameplay feel better than it did in Remake. In Remake, I think he fills his role fine, but he's definitely the least fun character in that game because of how limiting he is. So I'm interested in any changes they can do, because they've already clearly improved characters across the board, specifically Cloud, especially when it comes to aerial combat based on what we've seen. But really excited to see some of the melodrama that's going to be going on between Barrett and Dyne, especially when it comes to everything, also with his kid and everything.
Want Marlene to see what her father's become?
Promise not to tell?
Oh, this is pretty big too.
When she wakes up, a scary man is gonna kill her.
Alright, so this one's really interesting to me because it's going to cut back to another thing. So she's saying when she wakes up, a scary man's going to kill her, and everyone's like, yeah, no, Sephiroth. She's talking about Aerith. And then later in this trailer, we have this shot right here, where Aerith is clearly sleeping, and Zack is standing over her. So I have to wonder there's a connection there. I wonder if this is going to connect to the other universe. I'm going to say it like it's like that, because we don't truly know what's going on in this game yet. And still haven't for the past, like, 3+ years. Just been guessing. Is Marlene, like, touches Aerith and then sees something. And we're like, what the heck? What's going on? What's going on? It's like that part where the plate's about to fall in Remake. And she goes back to go protect the kids and try and help out with that. And we're like, what? Something's gonna go on here. So I wonder if this is gonna be connected to that, despite this being the Zack side. Really excited to just see where that stuff goes. But as soon as the Marlene part ends here, it goes into the rest of the trailer, which is the theme song. So we once again got Nobuo Uematsu on. We have this shot that's clearly Jesse. A lot of us, I feel like, made the prediction when they gave Jesse such good backstory material in Remake. I loved that section quite a bit. That it'd be really cool if she's doing some sort of musical performance in the Gold Saucer, if they're going to let her survive in some way. So I'm interested in what's going on with this. I'm really interested in what they're going to be doing with some of that stuff. So we'll have to see. We get to see everyone, like, costumed up. So we got, like, Dark Red 13. Barrett's, like, Barrett goes hard. I hope that they allow you. It would be so wonderful if they rigged these things properly and animated them properly, so that you could just wear these things outside the area. Like, it'd be great on a second playthrough for me to roll up with a Barrett that looks like this fighting whatever the final boss of this game is. I feel like some cool costumes would be really nice throughout the game. That'd be pretty good. I mean, who doesn't want to, like, roll up to a Genova fight and Red 13's still in a sailor suit, you know? Anyway, this song is fantastic. It is, it reminds me of, I believe the FF8 song's called Eyes on Me or Eyes on You. It reminds me a lot of that. and I think it's really nice. We finally get a shot of that Nibelheim Fire Sephiroth look for this remake series. Aerith looks great, but what a surprise! Everyone looks great here. We get to see him take flight. Really excited just to see some of the stuff that Goon. I'm just bubbling up, you know. I've been thinking about this past few hours, just kind of just thinking about Rebirth in general, my general excitement. I think it's finally starting to hit me. So here we are with the second part of this video, which I've been trying to record several times here because it's a challenging part of this video for me. It's gonna get a little deep, maybe a little emotional. I don't know. I feel like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be a very special moment for me as a fan, for this company. I feel like in terms of the work that they've done on these types of things. And it's big for me. And before I get any more excited or hyperbolic about it, I gotta lead up to it. I gotta walk us through it in a couple of different ways. So let's get started by talking about release cadence. In the 90s, it wasn't hard to put out a Final Fantasy game over there in terms of getting them out pretty fast. Games were a bit easier to make back then. The tech and everything with it. I'm not saying that they didn't crunch really hard, but you didn't have to wait 5 years per game. And if you didn't like Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII wasn't that far behind. Same goes for going into 9. But then you look at the 360 generation, and if you didn't like Final Fantasy 13 or its world, well, that's all you got. You got that, then you got a sequel to it, then you got a sequel to it, with dwindling budgets as it went on. And that's unfortunate because, you know, obviously Versus 13 didn't materialize. That would have probably eased the fall a little bit there. But they had troubles adapting to HD game development. It's something that people talk about and have talked about ad nauseum since even as that gen was happening over 10 years ago. But around 2019 or 2020, they said that they were going to increase their release cadence as they got more experience with developing games on this scale, and that we wouldn't have to wait nearly as long per release. A lot of people were cynical about it because, you know, that's what gamer personalities apparently are supposed to be. But as it turns out, they were right. They established a really good cadence. I would say starting around 2019, where we got stuff like Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Stranger of Paradise, Neo: The World Ends With You, the FF7 Integrate stuff, various FF14 expansions, a lot of remasters of varying sizes, FF16, which came out earlier this year, and then 8 months after a brand new mainline Final Fantasy game, a huge PS5 title. Another huge PS5 title, another big mainline FF, Rebirth drops 8 months after it. That is insane. They have established a new cadence. I am not expecting a major, masterful, large Square-Enix AAA game every 8 months. I want to say that off the top. But I do want to say we are probably out of the range where I have to wait at least 24 months to get another big one. And I think that that's really exciting because it's good because I'm 31 years old at this point. And I was thinking about how many of these big games that I really care about and I love and I'm passionate and just really want to dig in deep, how many of those am I going to get in my 30s? And then I start thinking about, is Kingdom Hearts 4 going to be the last game that Tetsuya Nomura directs? He's getting older. Are the people that are working on the FF7 remake project, like Kitase and Toriyama, how hands-on are they going to be after this project is done? Like, Hamaguchi is getting a lot of experience here, and I really respect him as one of the newer talent, I guess, comparatively. Like, obviously, that they're getting vetted to getting bigger and bigger in the company, but, like, can I get another Kitase game that's entirely new? I think he's working on some sort of a new IP, but I would love to see him do a new Final Fantasy game, like a new unique world. Same with Toriyama, same with Nomura. And I think about, we're running out of time. And as I get older, I think about that. I think about the mortality of it, the fact that these people have been working in that company since the 90s, and we're now in the 2020s. And eventually, these people are going to stop making games. These talents are going to fade into the background. Not to say they're going to die immediately or anything, but just eventually you retire. Eventually you stop making art on this scale. And eventually that's going to happen. And we are closer to it than farther away from it. And I think about that, and that's why I really appreciate this release cadence that they're starting to establish, where they're getting more things out, because I want more from them. I love their creative voice so much. So that's why I've just been feeling a certain way about it, and it's a mix of that and everything they've shown from Rebirth recently that's been making me feel really like this is going to be a special moment. The statement that I wanted to say, the hyperbolic, exciting thing that I wanted to say about Rebirth and what I feel like when it comes out at the end of February, is this is going to be the most significant special release for this franchise since Final Fantasy X. And that's what I've been feeling for the past 4 months, and it's something that I've never been more confident about in any of these. When I think about when Kingdom Hearts 3 was coming out, I'm like, this is one of the most important releases of my lifetime, because it's a series that I was connected to for over half my life. But I knew it was just going to be another Kingdom Hearts game. It was going to be cool as hell. This feels different to me in a way that I just feel in my gut. But let's transition to talking about that in more detail with Final Fantasy. So, when the PS5 sales were coming up to go pick one up, pre-order one, I did a stream goal to help me get one and be financially stable while doing it, because, you know, you guys helped me so much, and I appreciate it. The goal I did in exchange for it was I was going to play through all the mainline games, because, of course, a brand new mainline was announced, 16. And I was going to play through all of them so that when 16 came out, I came in with the perspective of all of the games. Or at least all of the big mainline games, so I could really, see influences, and also I could understand a series, a franchise that I love so much even more. And gain a greater respect to those various creators, how they improved, the various ideas, the origins of characters, style, combat, little ingredients, little spices to the franchise. And I'm glad I did. And as I went through that, it helped me figure out what I come to these games for. And when it comes to Final Fantasy games, one, in this video and in general, I'm never going to tell you what a real Final Fantasy game is. Because one, I can't tell you that because I don't have the authority on that. Any person who tries to tell you whether or not something is a true Final Fantasy or not are kind of full of it. The only person that decides that are the people making it, because they're the ones creating the art, not the fan. I know that maybe comes off a little bit harsh. That's just how I feel with this kind of thing. If it has it in the title, that's what it is. It would have to be a major departure to the point where, I don't know, it's Call of Duty, but they put Final Fantasy on the name for me to be able to and there's no chocobos or anything related to FF in it. It would have to be that crazy for me to ever approach that. Because I've always found it weird when people go, it's not a Final Fantasy game if it doesn't have a world map. It's not a Final Fantasy if it's not focusing on this, or this. Whether it's people that like Ivalice, whether it's people that like now the Yoshida style stuff, or the Nomura style stuff, or Toriyama, any of these creators and their voices. When it comes down to it, it just comes down to the title. But what I can tell you is what I look for in these types of games. And for me, I like a balance of a tactical gameplay that is within it, with a lot of customizing how the characters can perform in battle. I'm looking for a world that I want to explore. I want a story that focuses a lot on the characters' relationships. A character focus rather than a plot focus. wins. I feel like when the character focus wins out a little bit, I feel like I connect to it a little bit more. I'm looking for something with some, like, evocative, really strong music, but what I'm also looking for is a lot of levity in the form of, like, mini-games and other things to do in the world. And I feel like every ingredient that I am looking for in a Final Fantasy game has been missing since 10. They haven't hit everything that I personally want from the FF10 games onward. Like, I feel like there's just a little bit of spice missing. And Rebirth feels like it's going to have all of it for me. And that's what has me so excited about it. After, like, FF10 and 10-2, I feel like they were missing a little bit of something for me, despite me liking all of those games. FF12, I enjoyed, but Ivalice, I feel like, is an acquired taste. I'm not super into that specific style, and I feel like that story kind of goes comatose in the, like, third act, when they just say do 3 or 4 dungeons in a row, and the only cutscenes you get are them saying, Ash, are you gonna use the weapon of mass destruction? That's basically all that's going on for that. And I'm like, yeah, it's not great. Not great for me. It kind of falters a bit. FF13, clearly not the full vision of what they wanted to make there. It lacks a lot of things. It lacks a lot of customization that I would like in it. It lacks a lot of town and side things to do. It just pushes you forward. Even if I like the gameplay loop in that, even if dungeons run a little long for my taste, and I like the character and the story stuff that they do in it, and the music is fantastic, it's missing some stuff there. And then I look at FF15, and that story is just compromised. It is a melting pot of visions, and it does not fully coalesce. Even though I have cooled on it and then have found love in it again, and the Royal Edition has fixed some issues I have with it. I was looking for something to truly hit, and FF16 I was hoping would be that game. It also kind of faltered in some ways where parts of the narrative did not work. Probably has some of the biggest pacing problems for me personally. Has some really high highs but some low lows. And ultimately it's kind of not like the style I'm looking for. I tend to like a lot of party interaction, a lot of character work, and I feel like it's pretty weak there because it's mostly just a single character action game with a lot of the Final Fantasy stuff grafted to it. But Rebirth seems like it has everything. You have this expansive world to explore. You have all of these different playable characters. You have a lot of character drama, a lot of mystery, a lot of creators. You have that cool Nomura, like, that team's X factor of an unpredictable story in a way of, like, what are they going to do with this project that they're coming back to that I just really love. The numerous mini games, additional hunt stuff, various summons that you can go get, plenty of side content. They're saying it's going to be like 100 hours long. I do not believe that. That's always like full of it a little bit, but they're talking about a 40-hour long main story. FF7 Remake had to set the groundwork. It's Midgar. It's setting up the workflow for them developing this trilogy. And it's very restrictive because what do you do in Midgar? And this one, it's going to be way more open. We're gonna improve quests, combat design, give you more things to play with, more party members to engage with, team attacks. It feels like a miracle game. It feels like the most Final Fantasy-ass Final Fantasy game that they have made in a very long time. It feels like when this comes out, I'm not getting a compromised vision in basically any area. It just seems great. It feels like they're just when FF7 Remake got announced, the narrator in that goes, I believe it was voiced by David Lodge, because I'm a good VA buff, goes, "At last the promise has been made." And then we got that remake announcement. And I feel like this is the game that fully fulfills that promise even more before we even get the final game. I wouldn't be shocked if this is the game that I end up liking the most, where it's the part where you get the great freedom of this world and the things in it. And I feel like this is just going to be a momentous release. I'm not setting my expectations to the sky here. I'm looking for a solid action RPG that has everything I'm looking for in a Final Fantasy game. Good character work, fun cinematic boss fights, a lot of character customization, a fun world to explore, and a lot of levity with mini-games and other things to do. It seems to just have everything I'm looking for. I kind of got misty-eyed looking at the TGS like streams and gameplay where I'm like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. I've been following this team and respecting all of the games that they've been putting out over the years, and seeing this specific team and pieces of these creative minds grow from FF7 to FF8 to 10 to 13 to this. There's a through line in their game design and the kind of games that they make and the structure, and you can kind of see it evolve and change, and I feel like they're reaching a new apex with this. I'm not going to say it's the best game of all time, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to say that I'm going to think it's a 10 or that you're going to think that it's a 10. I'm not going to promise that to you. But what I am going to say is that this is going to be like a full vision. This is going to be a big game, and I feel like it's gonna be different than a lot of the recent things that they've put out, and I'm just really excited for it. And that's what I've struggled to put into words over what has been 6 or 7 attempts at recording this section of this video, because I care about it a lot. I feel like with some of the ways I've talked about this, I feel like I may have conveyed it hopefully in a more cogent way. But yeah, I know a lot of people might be more interested in like a theory style video of me going, you know, are they going to kill Aerith or not, or more deep stuff into the Zack stuff. If you want my predictions here, the game will end and Cloud will be killed. I just think that would be cool. I'm very interested in that. I personally do not think Aerith will be dying in this game. If she does, cool. If she doesn't, cool. But I feel like that might be an interesting route to go leading into the third game, because of course they always talk about they relate it to The Empire Strikes Back, because one, that's the most prolific trilogy in the universe. Also, Katase, I think even Toriyama. I know Sakaguchi, even if he doesn't work there anymore, and I believe no more, fucking loves Star Wars. I mean, Katase wanted to be a filmmaker before getting into games, talking about constantly going to showings of the original Star Wars films. And, you know, with that context, is like, this chapter's got to have dark content in it. It's got to have a low point, because if you think about a 3-act structure. So it's like something bad's got to happen. So if I had to make a guess here, maybe they just killed Cloud. And then, of course, some crazy stuff. It leads you to a very sobering feeling going into that third game, seeing what are they going to do with it. I'm not saying he's dead forever, but it'll be interesting to see what they may end up doing. But that's like a prediction out of nothing. But yeah, I think I got what I wanted to say about this. I've been following these developers for more than half my life. They've made really significant games. They have kept me from... They've kept me out of some dark places, you know? They've led to me to numerous annoying conversations online about them, but I feel like they've only annoyed me because of how passionate I've been about them, and how I've, you know, always wanted to set the record straight about certain things about it, and share my perspective that where I'm just so passionate and so in there that I feel so compelled to like really just be earnest about it all. And yeah, I think this game's gonna be special. Regardless if I find it to be the best or not, I think it's gonna be pretty fucking awesome. And I thought Remake was fantastic. I had very few complaints about it, and this just looks great. Anyway, that's the video for you. I was gonna try and do a stream today, but I don't think I'm gonna be up for it, because I've been pulling an all-nighter here, but I did want to put this video out. If you enjoyed it, I guess like it and comment your general thoughts here, but I thought it'd be cool to put a video out like this. Anyway, that's it for me. If you're excited for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Sound off in the comments. This channel barely makes anyone. This isn't gonna break like 5,000 views even, but you know, it felt good to talk about this in this way. I hope people liked this. Anyway, that's it for me. I'll be back soon with streams and other content. Man, this got heavy. I'm feeling. I got butterflies in my stomach talking about it. It's special, man. It's special. All right. See you later, everybody. See you next time.